school but not playing basketball. He was their second big scorer last year. Without Garcia, they've really had to turn to Alvin Vivican, the point guard who was one of the key starters on last year's team.
Yeah, Vivican averages 15 points a game, 3-year starter. But let's start with his defense. He has a lot of steals, and that's because he's an excellent on-the-ball defender. He's a point guard. He's really gotten better in certain areas. He's a better shooter in terms of distance. He's a smart player, and he's a spiritual leader for this team. He's going to have to step up very big tonight, Vivican.
One of the guys who has stepped up is a young man from Africa, Chuko Ilobu, who has really been dominant the last couple of games, had a huge game in a victory over Smithtown the other day. Let's turn right now to Art Kaminsky. What could you say about St. Mary's? They've been the dominant basketball team on Long Island for many years, this year getting the national recognition.
Well, for a couple of years it was Amityville or St. Mary's, and this year it looks like St. Mary's may be writing the greatest story in the history of Long Island Scholastic basketball. They're the first Long Island team to be ranked in the prestigious USA Today poll in the top 10 since Hempstead over a decade ago. They have beaten national powers like Simon Gratz from Philadelphia, Dominguez from Southern California, Christ the King. They are going on a national road tour and getting away with it. It's quite extraordinary.
Art, they've got 3 Division I players. Danny Green has emerged after a great summer camp, heading to North Carolina. He has been having an incredible season.
It's probably the most prestigious recruiting result that any Long Island player has had within recent memory in terms of basketball. To be going to North Carolina, not the number 1 team in the country, pretty darn close to it, with the great tradition that they have, to be their top recruit, quite amazing. Everything has just turned up roses for St. Mary, and the only question is, where will it all wind up at the end of the year?
All right, so that stage is the scene is set for what should be an interesting game. Can Brentwood, small, quick, and tough, keep this a ball game against a very talented St. Mary's team? Dan Lippenholtz back to talk to the coaches when we return on the LIPA Game of the Week.
Start of today's game between St. Mary's and Brentwood. With us now is St. Mary's coach Tim Kloos. And Tim, last year this team was told that next year would be their year. Do you feel that way now?
Never told them that last year myself, but I think we've matured a lot, and I think we have a good chance of doing some special things like we've done so far. Hopefully we can continue that with our growth and maturity.
Over your 14-year tenure with the school, you've had some terrific players come through, but this year you say you may have your best player in Danny Green.
Danny might be the best all-around player we've had. We've had some other people who are very talented in different areas of the games, but when you put the entire game together, I think Danny might have a chance to be considered that. We'll see how the year finishes out.
You have some big games coming up against some tough teams. How do you make sure the team stays focused for this game and the task at hand?
Basically take one game at a time, and we think every game is important in our building process of how our team is going to be at the end of the year.
And one thing you certainly have to take note of is the terrific crowd that you have here. They were here for the girls team, they're here for you guys, and they've been here for quite a while now.
This is one of the best things St. Mary's has ever done, putting this event together today. The Gales Foundation is going to do a wonderful job helping Gales athletics, and it's great to see them all out here for such a good night out.
All right, Coach, good luck to you tonight. Thanks for stopping by. When we come back, we'll speak with Brentwood coach Anthony Jimenez after these messages. You're watching the LIPA Game of the Week here on Telecare. Brentwood coach Anthony Jimenez. And Coach, you're facing an extremely good team tonight, one of the top-ranked teams in the country. What's your team's mindset as they get set for tonight's game?
Well, I think we're well aware of how good they are, but you know, we're just going to basically defend like we always do. I mean, that's been our staple, and we're going to try and keep it close and make sure that we get good shots every time down the floor.
You talked about defending, and what's your defensive strategy tonight against this high, explosive offensive team?
We're just going to try and limit Danny Green's touches, make sure they always shoot over a contested hand, make sure we block out. You know, as long as we're not giving up easy baskets and we're not giving up second and third shots, you know, we should be able to keep the game close.
I'm sure it would be a lot easier if you had your star player, Johnny Garcia, in.
He definitely gives us something the other kids can't, but you know what, we're very hungry right now. We've won 2 games, you know, without John, thankfully, and you know, kids are looking forward to this challenge.
You're giving up some size without Johnny. You're going to have to rely on some scrappiness tonight?
Oh, absolutely. We talked about that. We definitely addressed that in the locker room. We're going to have to block out every time down the floor. Putting bodies on people is critical for us.
All right, Coach, good luck tonight. Thanks for stopping by. When we come back, Barry and the gang will have the start of tonight's game between St. Mary's and Brentwood. Get set for the LIPA Game of the Week here on Telecare.
To go, Tim McAleer, Mike McCluskey, and Kevin Hartigan are officials. Starting lineup for St. Mary's: Gil Montalvo in the backcourt with Malik Pauline. Montalvo averaging 9 points, 7 assists. Pauline 11 points, 5 assists, 5 steals. Danny Green wearing number 14 tonight, averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds. Tyrone Hansen, the 6'6 senior heading to Monmouth, 12 points, 5 rebounds. Tyson Johnson, 15 points. And for Brentwood, Alvin Vilvican, Perone Harris in the backcourt, Deshaun Flourney, and Jamel Cadell in the front court, along with Chuka Ilobu, who's starting for Johnny Garcia on the bench with that knee injury, hopefully back within a week. And of course, if Brentwood has any chance, they've got to try to slow down the Gales, who have tremendous passing ability. We'll see the first shot of the game, spin out taken by Tyrone Hansen.
Well, I'll tell you, Brentwood will like that all night long if they're going to shoot threes, St. Mary's. Question now, how can Brentwood handle St. Mary's pressure defense?
Well, right now we'll watch Alvin Vilvican. They've got a big height advantage, St. Mary's. Pass inside, put up and in. Good-looking shot for Perone Harris, the 5'10 jumping jack with 5-point average coming in. Back the other way, they quickly counter on the drive by Tyson Johnson.
Last thing you want to do if your Brentwood is allowed St. Mary's to come down off a made basket and get a layup. That's not a good sign. Fast break.
Look at Danny Green out trying to look for a steal. He averages 5 steals and 5 blocks a game. Back the other way, turning for the jumper off the back rim, and they missed that time was Alvin Vilvican. Brentwood played last night, had a good win, good team victory over Pat Medford, held him to just 42 points, and on the foul, Danny Green will go to the line.
You just saw a little bit of an illustration there when I talked to Coach Tim Cluse. I said, what makes this team special? Why is it better than the other teams you've had? He said, I've got more good ball handlers. I've got 7 players on this team can all play point guard.
And they can pass, and that's a beautiful aspect of high school and college basketball, which sometimes we haven't seen too often, a great passing team.
No question about it. And also, just look at these guys physically. Look at the development on a kid like Tyson Johnson. Even a kid like Green, who at first blush you might think is thin, but he's not really. Look how sinewy his muscles are. These are strong kids, too.
Danny averaging 70% from the line, heading to North Carolina, out of North Babylon. His brother Rashad Green, who has not been playing early in the year, may be getting in the lineup tonight. And Brentwood under some pressure. Tough defense right now by St. Mary's as they try to come up with a steal. Montalvo, an excellent player defensively. And since he came back in the lineup lately, he has been playing terrific ball. Jumper from the outside by Flourney, no good. And back they push it up. Pauline, who was playing point guard earlier. Green showing his range, why he's going to North Carolina.
That's why they love him, North. He's a complete ball player. Got good bloodlines. His grandfather, Johnny Green, former Nick outstanding player. You might remember that, Barry.
Yes, indeed. Ed Ingles coming up with those gems.
Is that his grandfather, Jumping Johnny Green?
Yep.
Oh, my, oh, my. Well, those are bloodlines.
Off the way, short shot that time, taken by Ilobu. Back the other way, deflected, no foul, getting his hand on the ball, Flourney, and it will be St. Mary's ball.
They're greyhounds. They're almost, such fluidity on the fast break, St. Mary's. They get down, they spread the floor. Very difficult to stop them in an up-tempo game.
Anthony Jimenez will call a timeout. We'll step out early in the game. It's St. Mary's 7, Brentwood 2, 5:48 to go in the opening quarter. Big crowd on hand at Hofstra to see this great St. Mary's team. As we pointed out in the open, nationally ranked, the USA Today poll. In the country, number 9, several other polls, they're number 1 and 2. And Montalvo gets it inside to Green. Back outside, Pauline from outside. Spun out, and it comes back now, and the drive, Tyrone Hansen fouled. As again, they're jumping jacks, Eddie. They have a huge height advantage, and right now at the line will be Tyrone Hansen.
They all have long arms, they have very quickness, and they have strong legs. Take a player like Hansen, he's committed to Monmouth. He's more serious about the game this year. He's got NBA range on his shots, and he's a tremendous finisher. And he shoots free throws very well, I might add.
Xavier Brown just picked up his second foul. He was in the game because he's the tallest player, very inexperienced player, and he'll be replaced right now in the lineup as they make a change. And number 42, Lonnie Garfield, the all-county football player who's heading to post to play football, is in the ball game. The free throw missed, ball deflected out of bounds. Speaking of post, their fine coach Tom Galisi here watching the game, along with Mamadou Jakata. We hope to have a shot of Mamadou later, the former great player for St. Mary's. playing at Eastern Kentucky, but now transferring to a local school.
Yeah, either Fairfield or Manhattan is what he told me.
Off the miss from the outside by Florney. The Gales have it. Pauline out of Jamaica, Queens. Deflected away from Green, but recovered. Talk about that passing ability. Montalvo open. Ball tipped. They retain possession. Hansen got it off to Green. Montalvo trying to save it, and they retain possession. Good play there.
They look like a college team, St. Mary's. They really do.
They run a weave. Great passing team. They look for one another. Very unselfish team. From the outside, Johnson bombs for 3.
That's just good rotation of the ball. The defense cannot keep up and guard all those people. And Johnson, 2-year starter, who's improved his shooting range out to three-point range, showed you why it's improved with that stroke.
I think I counted 15 touches by St. Mary's on that last go-round. Quite impressive.
Johnson headed to Monmouth along with his teammate Tyrone Hansen. So Monmouth getting 2 very fine players. Strip of the ball that time by Hansen. Ball stays in Brentwood's hand.
Another point. A lot of people have commented for recent years St. Mary's has based their success on importing players from overseas, from all over the place. Well, their 5 starters are all from Long Island.
All right, Tony Good has come into the game. He's instant offense for Brentwood. They sure could use some offense here, but the defense so quick. They read the passing lanes. Hansen knocking that ball away.
And they move their feet so they can use those long arms effectively.
Brentwood back outside. Scoop in the lane, no good. And off that last miss quickly, Tony Good missed it. Look how quickly they get down court, ball knocked out of bounds. But good job by Good, who missed the shot, Eddie, to get back and break it up.
Yeah, Vivican got back there in defense. That's what he does so well. Good transition defense by Brentwood.
Vivican, a terrific defensive player, number 23. Here's Montalvo out of Bayside, Queens. And I tell you, Coach raves about this kid. He's a 2-year starter. Started as a sophomore. If you start as a sophomore on this St. Mary's program, you got to be awfully good. And this is a kid, if he was a little taller, maybe about 6 foot, 6'1", he'd be heading to Division I ball. But just a junior, and maybe low Division I schools might take a look at.
Well, you know, he might surprise somebody. All I know is that in the few minutes that we've seen, 4 minutes or so, I've seen as much display of unselfishness, team play, and ball skills as I've seen all year so far.
Timeout on the court. We'll be back. It's St. Mary's 11, Brentwood 2, 3:59 to go. Ball here at Hofstra. What a job he's done as coach, Eddie. 250th win the other night, just 79 losses.
Well, he's certainly no Johnny-come-lately to winning. Cluse has won 83 of his last 88 games at St. Mary's, and he said, this is a team that I can sit back and really relax and watch. He said, when you have talent, it makes it easy to coach.
Well, they might have been a year away last year, Eddie, when they lost to Zavarian. They lost to Rice earlier in the year. That was the only 2 losses of the year. Good ball movement here. Inside, the jumper on the fall away is good by Tony Good.
Very nice play by Good. He was smart enough to realize he wasn't going in there with the tall trees in the forest. Took a fall away and canned it.
Pauline drives it outside. Here's Green in the corner. Look at that quickness. Pauline will recover. St. Mary's 11, Brentwood 4, 3.5 to go in the first quarter. Barry Landers along with Ed Ingles, Art Kaminsky here at Hofstra for a nice crowd. Green, the spin move, reverses it up and in.
Yeah, Green just a little head fake, throws the defender, and just reels back to his right, keeps his body under such perfect control. That's why they love him at UNC, where he's going to play next year.
10 points, so 7 points for Green. His high, 25 this year. On the drive, Florney lays it up off the glass, no good. Ball tipped away. Montalvo will recover. Hansen. Here's Pauline on the drive. Short. Battle for the ball, and Forney does a good job coming up with, but with those long arms, Hansen picked it off.
They read it so well. They read the lanes, and they're not afraid to shoot threes because they think they can get the rebound. They didn't that time, but they get a lot of offensive rebounds, St. Mary's.
Tyson Johnson missing back the other way. The miss by Vivican. They need points from him. He had 6 points, 8 assists in the win over Pat Med last night. Johnson with a spin move, and count the basket. He was fouled.
Well, at 6'5", 220, he's got a big body, but what he does, he spins well to the right. Not only has he got quickness, he's got power. He gets rid of the ball in a hurry, shoots with a lot of confidence. Unless you overplay him and deny the entry pass, he can just eat you up on the inside, Tyrone Johnson.
Arthur, he's playing with more intensity this year, and they want him to keep that level of intensity up because he is a load to handle.
Yeah, that certainly is a factor. I know Tyson. He lives in Manhasset. He went to the Manhasset schools with my son Tom until 8th grade. A very nice young man. And the question is, how intense is he? The more intense he is, that enormous physical skill comes into play.
Under pressure. St. Mary's putting pressure on. They lead 16-4. The shot up no good by Ilobu. Battle for the rebound. Good job by Ilobu at 6'1" in the land of the Giants, and he'll go to the line to shoot a couple. Had a 19-point effort against Smithtown, and in the last night's game over Pat Med, 9 points, 11 rebounds. And he's had to really step in with Johnny Garcia on the bench.
Yeah, he gives you rebounding straight. Lobu is only 6'1", but he's got good jumping jack, and he's got a nice body, really good, strong, physical body.
He's crafty. He'll find a way. He's good with either hand to score in the lane, but way short. 71% free throw shooter. Both teams will make substitution. Gerald Fitz will come into the lineup, replacing Tyrone Hansen for St. Mary's. Fitz at 6'2", and sitting down for Brentwood, Deshaun Florney. And number 3 is checked into the game, Kevin Muller for the Brentwood Indians. Second is good.
By the way, Tom Nolan, the 6th man on St. Mary's, not playing this game because of a concussion. He will not play tonight.
Tom, of course, another Manhasset product. His brother Dan was a fine player on the team, playing lacrosse at Georgetown now. And Georgetown, by the way, will be playing in Manhasset, playing lacrosse as they play Vermont later on. For you Manhasset people, they're coming up to play here. Reverse good. Gerald Fitz off the bench.
You notice how many reverse layups they get along the baseline, and St. Mary's punishing you along the baseline.
I love the fact that the same guys can kill you from the outside from 24 feet and then have Kobe Bryant-like moves underneath the basket.
Montalvo the alley-oop! Oh! Tyson Johnson.
You know, you're having a special night. You're watching certainly the best team on Long Island and maybe the best team in America here in this team. And as Art said, this is likely St. Mary's the best basketball team Long Island's ever turned out.
Johnson with 10. Look at that pass by Pauline. Almost worked.
Oh, we're going to have fun tonight. This is just going to be tremendous to watch. Everything in the book's coming out. Behind the back passes.
Pauline with the turnover. Green. And Green, as we get a foul outside, no basket or no play. Non-shooting foul. Second foul. Check that 4th foul against Brentwood. And it'll be inbounded under the basket.
Brentwood doesn't want to play the Washington Generals to the Harlem Growth out of St. Mary's. They're getting a little frustrated because they understand these guys are really outstanding players. Nothing wrong with Brentwood. It's just that St. Mary's is 3 levels up. They live in the penthouse.
James Mutlu, number 2, has come in for St. Mary's. He's a 5'8" junior out of Bayside. That's James with the ball. Scrappy, good shooter on the JV. They hope he gets his shooting eye because he's great in practice. And you got to be great in practice to play on this team, even in practice. Montalvo from outside. And the long rebound comes down to Tony Good. Brentwood with 44 seconds to go, trailing 20-5. Kevin Muller pulls up for the shot. Nice shot for the lefty.
The irony is, Brentwood's not playing bad. They're not playing bad at all.
Well, right now, the Gales with a comfortable 20-7 lead. Johnson, who had that dazzling dunk earlier, backs it out. He's playing great ball this year. Had a high of 24, Johnson. 15 seconds to go. They can hold for one shot here. Down to 10 in the quarter. Showing patience here. Down to 5 seconds to go. Green will launch it short, and the first quarter will come to an end.
I like the way Brentwood trying to hang in there. They have to make adjustments, and how well they're able to adjust to the pace of the game and the caliber of St. Mary's will determine whether we'll get a basketball game.
After one, the Gales lead the Indians 20-7. We'll be back on the Life of Game of the Week.
Service on the size of
this game tonight, and of course, coming out to see St. Mary's. 7 league, 3 Catholic, 2 Federation championships, 98 and 2000. Eddie, they're on a mission after losing to Zavarian. They were expected last year to not only win the Catholic League, but maybe win it all last year.
Yeah, they've been stopped by the city teams that beat them, and that gnaws at them. And this is the year they want to get all the way and win their 3rd New York State Federation crown.
Of course, St. Raymond, Zavarian, a lot of good Catholic schools to get by, to get up to the Federation. Good ball movement here from the corner. Muller, the lefty, misses and stripped away at that time from Lonnie Garfield. Still not totally back to basketball shape after playing football. Look at that pass by Johnson as he finds his teammate inside.
Despite all the spectacular and fascinating stuff they do, the most impressive thing is the teamwork.
And a lot of assists, too. 11 rebounds to 6. Ed, how about some of the other notes as we watch from the corner? The shot nicely buried by Alvin Vivican.
Well, Brentwood with 5 turnovers, St. Mary's with only 2. We don't have the assist number, but I think in St. Mary's, they got a lot of baskets set up by assists.
Off the rare turnover by St. Mary's. Harris missing. Garfield couldn't control the rebound. And here's Danny Green. The alley-oop inside, a little bit under the basket that time, and a smile on Johnson's face as he looks back up court.
Over on the other side, pacing back and forth, the Brentwood coach, Anthony Jimenez. He's had a tremendous run so far, Brentwood. In 3 years there, he's won 41 games and only dropped 10. So he's had a tremendous program. And as I said, he came in tonight, he wanted to show people we're good too. Right now, I'm sure this gnaws at him, especially without the big guy. Johnny Garcia, the 6'9" center, is going to Seton Hall.
Nice fake. The rejection inside on the Tony Good drive. Johnson, look at that pass to Green, and an offensive foul called on Danny Green. So, Ed, we talked about this team defensively more explosive than last year. They've got 5 guys basically in double figures. They are a great passing team. They block shots. They pass the ball better. They have improved in those little areas to be the team that has got national recognition this year.
And the other thing St. Mary's is doing is playing a brutal schedule. They're playing a national schedule. They're playing teams all over the country. They've still got 2 big games coming up before they get back in the league, and they've won them all so far.
Vivican missing from outside. Alvin, a D2 player, and a lot of schools interested in him. Post to Delphi. Inside in the lane, Green turning, spun out. And a good rebound to Alvin Vivican at 5'11". He's in trouble, under some pressure. Muller, they've got to get it across in time, and they just do. Harris. Off to Vivican. Muller, the lefty. Vivican. Tony Good is a good outside shooter. Harris, open Vivican for 3. And skying to pull the rebound down, Pauline at 6'1".
With good patience and ball handling by Brentwood. That's the way to attack St. Mary's.
Motlou got it in the corner, and Danny Green, tough luck, spun out. Well, Green with the steal. We talked about his ability to read the plays. Says, I missed that one. I got to come back and make a thing happen on the defensive end.
That's the thing that makes St. Mary's special. It's just not a bunch of shooters. These guys play defense, and they really get upset when they miss a shot. They want to get it back on the defensive end.
Looked like Green suckered Brentwood into that one. Even though he missed the shot when it spun out, I think he overemphasized his disappointment, hoping that they'd pass it his way, because he just turned on a dime, intercepted it with ease, and put the ball back up on the backboard.
Tim Cluse describes him as an octopus, Eddie, on defense. Deflects passes, he's got the hands, and has that innate ability to read the plays, anticipate what the offensive player is going to do in terms of passing.
Yeah, and watch his foot movement. He's like a ballerina dancer. He moves so quickly. A couple of strides, he's able to cover the court so quickly because the ability to read and the ability to move quickly is like a fighter that cuts off the ring.
9 points for Green. He's 4 for 4 at the line, and the lead is 24-10 with St. Mary's in front. 5:20 to go first half. Barry Landers along with Ed Ingles, Art Kaminsky. Got more great basketball coming your way Wednesday night. The girls of St. Mary's hook up with the girls of Manhasset. Deshaun Florney with a nice-looking jumper.
Even little things Green does well. Watch him box out on rebounds. He does it like he's playing JV basketball.
Montalvo back outside. This is Rashad Green now in the game, Eddie. The younger brother who has a world of talent. He's trying to show it off here, misses, and the rebound comes down right now to the Brentwood Indians as Florney in trouble in the backcourt. Looks for help. They've got a 3-on-2 if they hurry here. Let's see if they're able to hang on to the ball as Tony Good dribbles the ball into a trap. Now tries to break free at the foul line. Off, rolls around, tough luck, kept alive, and going up and getting the bucket. That time was Chukwu Ilubu.
What a nice job. Really aggressive play by Brentwood on the inside. Brentwood beginning to get their feet, sea legs under them now. settling in and say, let's go after these guys. Oh, what a pass.
Look at Montalvo's pass. We talked about him being a great passer, an 8 assist to 2 turnover ratio. And right now the score is 24-15, only a 9-point ball game. Harris inside Muller, in trouble there in the lane. Wisely turns, fadeaway, good! And it's 24-17.
Son of a gun, as well as St. Mary's is playing, as good as they look. We did say Brentwood's playing pretty well, and they're getting rewarded for it. They're only 7 down.
7 straight points at Engel.
Yes, they've done a good job. They've been able to get inside. They're keeping their patience. And right now, I think St. Mary's got to put some more pressure on them, especially in the backcourt, trying to make them turn the ball over.
Danny Green was doubled, so he'll throw it out right now to brother Rashad. And the 6'5" junior, who's been bothered by an ankle injury and was not playing earlier, hits the bucket. He was a key player last year, Rashad Green, playing with his brother on the same team. And as Alobu went along the baseline, he turns it over.
Rashad Green is 6'4", junior, had missed the first 10 games with an ankle injury. This is the first game Rashad Green has played this year.
Mutlu comes out of the game, and Rashad Green will also come out. We've got a timeout, 3:21 to go. First half, St. Mary's averaging about 80 points a game, now with just 26, as they've struggled a bit here in the second quarter, but they lead at 26-17. We'll be back in a moment. He can't see him right there, but he was an assistant under Marty Rieger for 5 years. Actually had some good training, played for Frank Molzoff when Frank, the old St. John's coach, was out at St. Joseph's out in Patchogue. He's an 85 grad of Patchogue Medford, and has done an excellent job. Eddie, 9-3 this year, 19-2 last year, so 28-5 over the last 2 years.
His teams play well because they understand the game of basketball. We watched them play a couple of times and they break the huddle. Jimenez gets his players to really focus in and be disciplined. What he wants him to do, he's able to translate that to the players, and they do a good job of executing what he wants.
They've had non-league wins this year over Lutheran, Copeg, one of the top teams at Suffolk last year, West Babylon, and Bellport. And they are 5-1 in Suffolk County League play, losing earlier by a couple of points, and that was a tough loss for them to Sachem, 77-75. Rashad Green missed, followed his own miss. Reverse no good, the follow is good for Rashad Green.
Interesting watching Rashad Green there. Took a long jumper from the corner, followed up very nicely, got the rebound, came in, missed short inside. But you can see he's got a lot of the same instincts his brother does.
Elobu missing, Rashad Green with the rebound. Pauline hustles it down in the corner. But Pauline discontinues his dribble, and the Indians will get it back, trailing by 11 with 2:43 to go in the half.
One thing, St. Mary's showed some post play early on, but they really haven't gone to post. They haven't been playing the post very lately. When Brentwood made their run, St. Mary's got away from their inside game and kind of settled for around the perimeter shots, and that helped get Brentwood back in the game.
Very small team out there. That time the pass picked off Johnson. And laying it up and in is Rashad Green.
They're also the perfect team to play the kind of zone defense they do. They're extremely mobile. They understand the team concept. They know how to double. They're very quick.
Green, the block on Alobu.
Oh, and they jump pretty well, too.
Yeah, not bad. Look at this passing play. Oh, Pauline couldn't finish.
Green wanted to do it on both ends. As you said, Pauline missed it, had an easy chippy.
It was Green to Green setting up Pauline right there. Tony Good on the drive, and as he went down the lane, he was fouled. I want to thank some of our great sponsors joining us tonight. Basketball City Shootout, going to take place at Iona College next week, January 22nd. You'll see St. Mary's against Denham Springs of Louisiana. Other great games, St. Raymond's against Cardoza, Mount Zion Academy of North Carolina, Tracy McGrady's alma mater, taking on Gulf Shores of Texas. Brandon Rush, Gerald Green, two of the two top players in the nation, will be playing 7 games at Iona College. And for ticket information, you can check out this website, www.ballfirminc.com. That's www.ballfirminc.com. For ticket information, $10 to see 7 games, Eddie.
What a day for basketball. That makes it very special, seeing the best basketball player in the country. Players you'll be seeing playing college ball, and a couple of those young men will play in the NBA pretty soon.
Over 30 Division I players will be on hand for that 7-game package. Montalvo with his club leading by 12, 30-18. Coming up at halftime, we'll hear from Jared Rice, chairman of the board of Ball Firm Incorporated, putting on this great tournament. From the outside, St. Mary's hitting Brandon Mays, the 6-foot junior, and you know all about the Mays family.
The Mays of Roslyn. His brother plays for Roslyn currently. His older brother was a big star at Roslyn about 5 years ago. He's now working in the city in Wall Street. And he's only about, I don't know, what, the 10th best player on St. Mary's?
Brandon's dad is here. He had seen Roslyn lose an overtime game earlier, and I was chatting with him before the game. Roslyn having a fine year, but losing to Roosevelt in overtime. Scramble for that loose ball, and on the tie-up, ball goes over to the Gales, Eddie. Leading by 15, 33-18. It was down to 7, but now up to 15.
Well, what St. Mary's makes you do when you play them, you really got to elevate your game. You got to be more aware of what's going on around you and have a really good ball security. You'll pick your pocket. In a way, it's a good game for Brentwood because it gets him to play without Garcia, gets him some more experience, gets some more players into the mix, and has them play a tougher team, which will help them or should help them down the road.
Range of Tyson Johnson. He can pass like a guard, he can shoot like a guard, and he's 6'6".
Pretty nice package.
Monmouth, who we saw a couple of weeks ago against Wagner, going to get a couple of real good ones in Tyson Johnson and Tyrone Hansen.
Oh, absolutely. At that level in the Northeastern Conference, they should be very solid players and maybe go on to start them.
And the guy who they lost last year off last year's team, John Agar, is also down there at Monmouth.
Yeah, not playing much, but he's on the team. Think about this St. Mary's team. They all play like they're guards. I mean, they all handle the ball well. They all shoot the ball well. They're such an interchangeable team. You can move people around. You really don't have to have role players with a team like this because so many players can complete players.
Florney with 3 points. He's a guy that has been a slasher, great basketball IQ, just a junior, been a pleasant surprise, had a big night, clutch plays against Pat Med in their 51-42 win the other night when they had a big fourth quarter to pull it out. He's an excellent defender, Florney. Made 1 of 2, a high of 12 in the last game against Pat Med. And he'll launch it from outside, no good. Quick rebound by Fitz. Got it up court to Mays, and he'll finish.
Okay, maybe Mays is the 7th or 8th best player on St. Mary's. He's moving up every minute here.
A lot of talent. They'd be stars on other teams. Air ball by Harris. And Montalvo. Look at that pass. Finishing as he runs the lane that time, Rashad Green.
If you don't hurry back in transition defense, if you don't sprint back, they're going to burn you. They're as good as any team I've seen high school level on run the fast break, and as good as a lot of college teams, I'll tell you.
Green with 8 points off the bench and a charge on Perone Harris.
That last pass could have gone to, it went to Rashad Green. It could have easily gone to Tyson Johnson, who was also on a perfect angle to pick it off. But amazingly, he let it go, and boom.
They're on a roll here, Eddie. It was down to 7 as the first half comes to an end. So St. Mary said, we got to turn it up a notch, and boy, did they ever turn it up.
And you know, they make it look so easy when they play hard, but they're like gazelles. You don't get a feeling they're breaking a sweat doing it. They are so quick to the ball. Their quickness and anticipation allows them to do things without having used so much physicality. It's not a team that has to bang you. They slip up on you and take the ball out of your pocket.
What's interesting is Brentwood got it down to 7 points in the middle of that quarter, and we all said, ooh. Then St. Mary's said, okay, scored 16 of the next 17. That's pretty impressive.
All right, that's the story coming up at halftime. We'll learn more about that great basketball tournament or 7-game coming up at Iona College. We'll hear from Anthony Benamo from the Gales Foundation, who've done such a great job reinvigorating things. If you want to make contributions to the Gales
strong defensive effort that your team put forth in that first half?
I think we worked hard. I think we had a couple of lapses on a few reaches I didn't like, a couple of charges we could have taken, but most of all, we put in a lot of energy out.
Brentwood made it really close in the second quarter, cut to a 7-point lead. They're giving you a lot of energy, and they're really playing you guys pretty strongly.
I expected them to come with a lot of energy. They're a tough group of kids. They're missing a player, and when that usually happens, the rest of the players pick it up even to a higher level, and they're doing that tonight.
All right, Coach, looking forward to the second half. Thanks again for joining us. We'll be back with plenty more here from Hofstra University. You're watching the LIPA Game of the Week here on
First half team stats, Brentwood 7 for 22. That's under 33%. St. Mary's 15 for 29. St. Mary's 6 for 7 at the line. Brentwood 2 for 6. The Gales 4 for 11 from three-point range. Brentwood 2 for 4. 9 turnovers for Brentwood, 6 for St. Mary's individually. Just 2 players with 3 points apiece, Alobu and Flannery, and Flournoy and Muller with 4. St. Mary's led by Johnson with 13 points, 5 for 7 from the field, 3 rebounds. Danny Green, 9 points, and he was 2 for 5 from the field, 4 for 4 at the line. Rashad Green, his brother, coming up with 8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 for 7, but Green, Danny, contributed 2 steals and a couple of blocks as well, Ed.
Yeah, but Rashad Green gives him some depth now. That's a big key. The fact that St. Mary's has some more depth with Rashad Green back.
Montalvo slipping in for the score. This was down to a 7-point ball game at one point in the first half, late in the first half, and then St. Mary's, which is so potent off turnovers, they can go on big runs. We'll re-identify the lineup. Inside, laid off the glass by Tyrone Hansen. Montalvo, Pauline, Danny Green, Tyrone Hansen, and Tyson Johnson, the starting 5 back in the game for the Gales. We'll give you Brentwood a moment as Harris shot no good, and here's Danny Green with a rebound. Up to Montalvo. Back to the trailer, and Green blocked from behind as Flournoy got up and knocked it away.
Number 55, Gilbert Montalvo, does not get a lot of pub. He's a junior, he's 5'8", but he is really the trigger man on this offense with his ball movement. Comes in averaging 7 assists a game. If you notice, he knows where to distribute the ball to the right place and the right person.
So Danny Green, who's been perfect at the line, 4 for 4 at the line with 9 points, will shoot free throws here. And Danny nails this one. He'll get another one. And Art Kaminsky, as we look to the second half, with a big ball game coming up Sunday against Patterson Catholic, one of the top teams in New Jersey. We've seen them substitute. About 8 or 9 players have played in the first half for St. Mary's, and they'll probably substitute quite a bit here in the second.
I would think so. You know, it's a very interesting season that Coach Klus has planned out, because he's clearly put together this amazing national schedule, and so far has met every challenge. So you want to continue to do that. You want to win your league championship here in Long Island, but in reality, the eventual and most important goal is to win the state championship and the state federation championship. So everything has to build towards that.
Tyrone Hansen with a block a moment ago, and right now Montalvo will bring it up. Vivican called for the offensive foul, negating that basket. Back out to Danny Green, a 3, spun around and dropped out. Tough luck, tipped up and in by Tyrone Hansen.
Just to follow up on what Art said, yes, they want to win the state federation, but Tim Klus realized how good this team was, how special. So he scheduled a national schedule, and that is to allow this team to get the kind of stage it needs for people to realize that maybe once every 100 years, Long Island may have the best team in the country, and I think that was a smart move. Sure, it makes them better in the state federation chase, but it also elevates St. Mary's to a national level, something Long Island schools rarely get an opportunity to do.
Kevin Muller showing another outside shot, 7 points for him. Rolled around and dropped in, and the lead now is 50-21.
Yeah, Ed makes a very good point. So I think at the end of the season, when they go up against the St. Raymonds or the Rices or wherever it is that comes out of the PSAL in New York City, and they've got to beat them to win the state Catholic championship and then the Federation championship, I think it helps in 2 ways. One, it gives them a certain confidence that they may not have had in previous years, that they belong on the same court with these big boys, the biggest of the big boys.
That's a good point.
And secondly, it says to the referees, to the fans, to everybody else involved in basketball, yeah, they belong out there. So when you take the court, the swagger factor is at least evened out, which it hasn't been for St. Mary's in recent years.
There's another factor, too. It's a Catholic high school league competition on Long Island. You've got 4 teams, St. Mary's, St. Dom's, St. Anthony's, and Chaminade, that probably are better than 98% of the public schools on Long Island. The Catholic League is really loaded this year on Long Island. That's where the best teams are.
That's a good point, Eddie, because obviously St. Mary's is way ahead of everybody, including the public and Catholic League schools. Nice shot from the corner, that time from Alvin Vivican. And off the turnover, Vivican 3-on-2, goes in on Green trying to draw the foul, and it goes out of bounds. It will be coming up to the Gales. But the point is that Holy Trinity is better this year. St. Anthony's, which played St. Mary's in the finals last year, it's got size. They're very good. They knocked off Brentwood twice earlier in the year. And then, of course, Chaminade is good, and St. Dominic's is also always good this year as well.
Chaminade knocked off Seawright and Uniondale, and they did it rather convincingly.
Well, the demographics of high school basketball have changed radically in Long Island, on Long Island the last couple of years. It may have something to do with the academic and community problems plaguing the Hempsteads and the Uniondales and the Roosevelts and so forth, but clearly those schools don't have the depth and strength in high school basketball that they used to, as a lot of their kids are gravitating towards the Catholic schools early in junior high, or at the latest at the beginning of senior high school, for 2 reasons. 1, they want to play good basketball, and 2, their parents want them to get a serious, disciplined education.
Danny Simpson with that nice drive for Brentwood. He's a 6'3" senior, and there's the outside range once again for Tyrone Hansen.
Yeah, Hansen shows you such versatility. You know, we keep talking about Danny Green being a tremendous player, but Hansen, his abilities, what he brings to the table, you know, defensively, offensively, and again, getting back to how he's more serious as a player.
Harris missed. The follow inside by Simpson, no good. And here's Hansen bringing it across. Montalvo. Green tapped it around. Scrappy Brentwood club. And Ed pointed out, too, that they played a lot of close games recently, Eddie. They're not the powerhouse, in a sense, blowing teams out that they were last year. And that really hurt him, if you recall, the game we televised in the semifinals against a Longwood team, which was kind of an underdog team. They had been a tough team for a couple of years. And I think that game they kind of lost their cool late in the game. Garcia didn't get the ball. And I think this team is now more battle-tested than that team was. And come another month or so for playoff time, that should stand them in good stead.
Yeah, I think Brentwood's going to be right there in the Suffolk County title chase. You're right. You don't want to play your toughest game at the end of the year. You want to have a couple of tough games before you get there, so you're used to being able to handle the pressure and able to elevate your game and keep your composure.
Florney now 1 for 3 with 4 points. He's a kid that Anthony Jimenez loves. It's been a pleasant surprise. He's got a knack to get to the rim. He's delivered in clutch time. He and Vivican are the 2 best defenders on the team. And Florney, a junior, he'll be back on this senior-dominated team, he and Tony Good. And Brentwood over the years, Eddie, you go back to the days when Stan Kellner, our good buddy, was coaching, Mitch Kupchak, and other days when, of course, they produced some very fine basketball players over the years.
Yeah, they sure have, and that tradition continues. And again, well, Anthony Jimenez has done a tremendous job in continuing that for the Brentwood. Forget about tonight. This is a different stage. He's done an excellent job for Brentwood, and they're going to be in the Long Island Public School battle, I think, right up to the semifinals, maybe the final.
Tyrone Hansen, and now Brentwood with a couple of opportunities that go right.
The big shame is that Garcia can't play today, simply because with his big post presence, it would have been interesting to see St. Mary's have to play some serious defense. I'm sure they could do it. I have no doubt that they could do it. I just be fun to watch them do it.
Muller showing some nice outside shooting. The lefty came in averaging just 2 points. The All-State soccer player is known more as a defensive stopper with 9 points. He may be leading his club in scoring now.
Well, you play soccer and you got good footwork that carries over in basketball. To get back to Art, Garcia would have given him inside presence, but the question is, could Garcia go up and down the court with these Greyhounds without getting weary, and how much he would be negated by an up-tempo game? I don't know the answer. I'm just saying it might not have been an easy game for Garcia this style.
Green kept it alive. Mutlu did a good job. There's a much smaller guy battling 3 Brentwood players, and on the drive, Vivican fouled and will go to the line. But you saw Mutlu getting an opportunity. There's only 5'8", battled a couple of players, eventually tipped the ball, and his team got an opportunity to shoot.
You know, the other, not meaning to change the subject, but one thing I also like is the way the St. Mary's big men take outside jumpers. If you watch the form of Johnson, of the Greens, of Hansen, they're all almost picture-perfect jump shooters. Terrific form, terrific elevation, the wrist action, the way they release the ball at the top. Very, very nice. They're fundamentally excellent players, which again is a testimony to the quality coaching that Tim Klutz gives this team.
8 points for Vivican, now 9. He's struggled a little bit at the line tonight. And 2 for 8 from the field earlier. Rashad Green replacing Mutlu in the game. He had a very good second quarter. Came off the bench to score 7 or 8 points. Ball kicked, and here is Muller coming up with the ball. His pass stolen away. Rashad Green.
Well, again, Green able to anticipate. Just pick your pocket. And the thing about Green, he finishes. That's the thing, Barry. A lot of guys pick pockets, get to the rim, and don't finish. Almost everything he gets to the rim, he finishes.
Well, the North Babylon program for many years was a great program. These two great North Babylon players playing here right now for St. Mary's. And, you know, you kind of wonder, they've gotten players, of course, from all over Long Island.
Well, that's the point we were making before. You know, a number of years ago, many Long Island fans remember the classic Long Island championship game between North Babylon and Hempstead, with Bobby Brown from North Babylon scoring 39 points, losing to Hempstead by a point. Pardon me. Today, Bobby Brown is playing for St. Mary's.
Excellent point. At the free throw line, Rashad Green will go to the line, the 6'4" junior. And Rashad Green has shown that there's no problem with his ankle, Eddie, as he looks awfully sharp tonight.
Well, he had a long time to rest it. He missed all 10 games until tonight. The other thing, too, about St. Mary's, if you're not careful, they're going to turn you into a turnover machine. And right now, Brentwood has 15 turnovers in fewer than 3 quarters.
11 points. And that's the thing, as we mentioned. If you asked Coach Tim Klutz about his team, he would say 2 things. We're passing the ball so much better, and we're more explosive defensively. All of his players are playing. You don't play for Tim Klutz unless you play defense. There's no one-dimensional player on this team, as you learn.
Yeah, because if you're going to be a winning team and win championships, you know, this is no brain surgery. You've got to be able to play defense. You've got to make stops, because even as good as this team is offensively, in a big game, you know the offense is going to struggle against some nights, and you're going to have to rely on the defense to get it done.
Tony Good with that turnover. Hansen with the miss, or Johnson with that last miss. Here's Rashad Green. Nice pass, and the layup by Tyrone Hansen.
So many good instincts are displayed by the St. Mary's players. You know, why was Taj Johnson in the right place to intercept that? Why were the St. Mary's players distributed as nicely as they were to complete that tic-tac-toe passing?
Simpson with the shot art from the corner. Hansen, by the way, has made his last 5 shots. Ball tipped out of bounds, and we'll get a substitution for the Brentwood Indians. Checking into the ball game, number 35, Greg Cano, the 6'5" senior guard. Greg coming into the game, and sitting down right now will be Deshaun Flournoy.
I think our young friend, Mr. Hansen, had a chat with our famous fan, Bob Anastasia, who came over to me at halftime and said, "You think those Johnson kids, the Green kids, can shoot? Where do you see Hansen shoot?" So they must have had a little chat, and he told them, put on a little bit of the show for Kaminsky and his friends.
All right, of course, a Manhasset guy. Follows the teams well off the steal. Let's watch Johnson. Could he get it up? Oh, try to get it up. He knew how much time was left ahead of play. After 3, as expected, the Gales running away, putting on a show. They lead a game, but outmanned Brentwood team 61-33. We'll be back on the Lightfoot Game of the Week in just a moment. Wednesday night here at 10. Quite a classic. St. Mary's, the Battle of Manhasset, as they go up against Manhasset girls. Eddie, that should be a terrific game. We were here to televise it early. If you know the result, St. Mary's came out with a dramatic victory. Stay tuned and watch that one. Then we've got some great basketball. Gulf Shores, that great team from Texas with one of the top players playing, our Savior New American, the team out in Center Reach that plays a national prep schedule. But not sanctioned to play the teams in this New York area, so they play a lot of teams outside the area. That should be a classic. And then we've got Adelphi basketball. Kelly Watts was over earlier. She's doing a little scouting, the Adelphi women's coach. They won their first 7, but struggling. But the men's team is, Eddie, on a roll, dominating the nightcap. Speaking of dominating, St. Mary's continues to dominate Art with Tyron Hansen.
Yep, I think they have pretty much proved what we said at the beginning of the broadcast. There isn't much they can't do. And again, I put out my statement from earlier. This is the best basketball team to ever play high school basketball on Long Island.
That's a great statement here. Inside, the miss by Vivican. No quit in this Brentwood team. They're battling Muller. Pauline trying to dive, come up with it, and finds an open teammate, Hansen.
I would agree with Art with that this is the best team ever to play on Long Island. There's something else when you play them. If you bring the ball down to your waist, they just reach in and pull it out of your hand. You really have to pivot away from the defensive of St. Mary's because they're going to steal the ball from you. And the reason why they're so good in the passing game is because all their players, almost every player on this team, can play almost every spot on the floor. And so that allows you to run to a spot and be effective in that spot. And also Tim Cluse practices a lot of that stuff of the weaves. These guys do a lot of practice on moving without the ball and throwing the pass. This is not something you develop overnight. It takes a lot of practice, and they do it so well for that reason.
You know, I was just thinking for a second, listening to what Ed said. You know, we think about, say, the great Amityville teams of recent years. Tremendous to watch. Jason Frazier was a great player. Price is a great player. Speed, hustle, the great press. But there were imperfections in the team, and they would come out as they would sometimes be forced into close games. There were stretches of sloppy play or inefficient defense or times where they couldn't hit from the outside. You have the sense of St. Mary's, my gosh, they do everything well. There isn't anything, they're not struggling at all. And Brentwood is not a bad team. And I suspect that this is even true when they play some of these national powers. Look at these scores. They beat Simon Gratz from Philadelphia by 30 points. They beat Dunbar, the traditional Baltimore power, by 19 points. They beat Ridgeway from Tennessee by 6 points. So they've beaten some of these tremendous teams by large margins. They are very good.
And they're fun to watch, Eddie, if you like fundamental basketball. And Tim Cluse, the Cluse brothers, they were terrific basketball players.
Yeah, they certainly were in their days at St. John's, and this is the kind of, they learned that at St. John's with the coaches they played under, Luke Adeseka. That's the kind of style you're going to play.
Of course, the Cluse family, great basketball family from Rockville Center, St. Agnes. You talk about great programs. Frank Morris, who passed away, what a great tradition he developed with the Billy Donovans, the Frankie Alasias, and people like that.
Different kind of players. Those were great, you know, scrappy, classic New York point guards, that sort of thing. But these guys, there's an elegance, there's an effortlessness to the way they play that, you know, Ed frankly goes back further than I do. But in the 45 years or so that I've watched high school basketball in this area, I haven't seen a collection of players on one team that can do it as well and apparently as easily as they're doing it.
Pauline finds Rashad Green.
The term I use is they're so clean. They played the game cleanly. You see a lot of games, a lot of mistakes, turnovers. They just make it look so clean. It's a game the way they play, with very few warts when they play.
You know, watching Rashad Green, who hasn't played all season, he's just like jumping out of the box. He says, I just can't wait to get out of here. And he's playing with that kind of enthusiasm.
Plus, remember that they play the majority of their home games, their true home games, on a bandbox. It's not even a bandbox. I mean, my kids have played dozens of games at St. Mary's, and it isn't even good enough for sixth graders, let alone a world-class, national-class basketball team. It's tiny beyond belief. So I guess when they get out of it, they just feel even more liberated.
Vivican hitting that three, and they do play, of course, all their non-league games and many of their Catholic League away games. Turning in the lane, Rashad Green, and he's leading all scorers off the bench now as he's got 16 points. Talk about the balanced scoring. Hansen with 16, Rashad Green with 16, and Danny Green, the guy, their top player, 11 points. Johnson with 13, and little Tony Good doing a little wheeling, little Earl Monroe couple of plays there.
Yeah, Good's made a couple of outstanding plays tonight. Not always hitting the basket, but he has elevated his game for moves because he realized he's playing up against better players.
So Brentwood down 67-38. They lost twice to St. Anthony's. We talked about the Catholic League being better. They lost to St. Anthony's 70-49. Oh! Tyson Johnson off the feed from Green.
Shows you what ball movement does. If you keep the ball moving and you don't dribble, the ball moves faster when you pass than when you dribble. This is an excellent example of that St. Mary's is showing us tonight.
Hanson with the block.
Last week I said the behind-the-back pass was the most exciting play in basketball, and I think Pauline, with his demonstration of it, reinforced my point again.
Muller from the corner, and the rebound pulled down by Mays. Up court, Johnson on the drive, missed the jam. Pauline blocked inside by Simpson. Muller, there's the anticipation. Rashad Green picking it off. Green getting a little cute here against his Suffolk fellow residents. Count the basket for Johnson.
If you try to maybe capsulize why this team is so good too, Art, their vision. They have outstanding vision. You got to have the excellent vision to see the floor as well as they do, and then they can pass the ball to back it up. The combination of almost peripheral vision that's outside the court and the ability to pinpoint passes makes this team really special.
No question. Scott Machado about ready to check into the game. He's actually come in for the Gales. 5'10" freshman guard out of Belrose. He's a slasher. And Ed, you know, we're talking about the great St. Mary's program. There's a guy who we loved watching him play 2 years ago, Mamadou Jakata. We maybe get a shot of him with our cameras. Mamadou at Eastern Kentucky played last year, and he's looking to transfer. We talked about him earlier. What a delightful young man. He's here with his little niece, smile on his face. Came here from Africa a few years ago. Didn't speak English. And
absolutely every other language.
5 different languages that he spoke, learned English quickly. What a delightful young man, and what a great find he's going to be for some local college. You mentioned Fairfield, Manhattan, both very interested in him. St. Francis of Brooklyn as well.
I think that's a good stage for him to play the mid-major back. I think his talents lend themselves well to playing in the MAC.
Of course, they've been getting great play at Columbia from Matt Preston. Matt has done a terrific job for Mr. Jones, who left Hofstra and has done a terrific job with that program. Of course, Byfield we saw play for Monmouth just a couple of weeks ago, and Kenny Grant down at Davidson. And of course, we know Bobby McKillop. Talk about Catholic high school basketball. He's been the coach at Davidson for the last years down there.
Yeah, I was down there last year. What a fine place. It's a small school, beautiful setting, nice gym, and they really play. They play a kind of game you're seeing tonight by St. Mary's. Good ball movement.
A couple of Long Islanders were very successful. New Yorkers, the former St. John's assistant, went down to Charleston Southern.
Yes, did a great job down there for a number of years. Really outstanding coach. Was Louis' top assistant, Krause?
We'll get it.
Yeah, I think that's...
Wasn't Krause, but we'll get it in a moment. At the free throw line, Brentwood getting another free throw here. And right now with it 72-39, Greg Cogno with the free throw, and it's 72-40. And we're going to have a contest, Art. When people call Art Kaminsky at home, you have to get a contest to answer the phone on the answering machine. We'll have to get that St. John's assistant coach who was at Charleston Southern for many years that developed a fine program.
Got to the NCAAs at least a couple of times.
How little we forget. Art, the clock is ticking.
Oh my. Oh
Where
my.
is Bobby Anastasio? Call Bobby over here. Get that. We want that name. Call Louis. Jovial Joe Giannotti strikes out. The Wizard has no answer for us. He is not going to win. We're going to get it. Bobby, come over here. Mr. St. Mary's and Mr. Manhasset. Bobby, the coach at Charleston Southern or Charleston South. What is it?
Just Charleston, University
of Charleston. Former St. John's assistant for many years. Went down there, Louis' assistant. Who is it?
John Kress.
All right. Bobby's going to be our next. Art, you're out next week. Bobby's in for you next week. John Kress.
When Bobby has a specialty, you can't top him in his specialty, and that's his specialty.
Alvin Vivican driving to the lane. 2:50 to go. Hope you're enjoying the action. Barry Landers along with Art Kaminsky. Why not give Father Tom a call? They've just had their big telethon just over this past weekend. If you enjoy what you're seeing here on Telecare, this great high school basketball, why not call Telecare, send a donation, help keep Telecare alive with their great programming, including these high school games.
Without Telecare, you would not have this program, believe me. Father Tom has supported the latest sports production to the limit. He loves these games. But without the 29 and Telecare, putting these games on, there would be no place to put them.
Well, we're on a channel right now featuring a Catholic high school power, St. Mary's. We hope to have their game next week against Denham Springs. That'll be at Iona next Saturday. If you've enjoyed watching this great basketball team, they'll play at 8:30 next Saturday night against one of the top teams of the country, and that'll be a team from Louisiana. Beautiful stroke from Tony Good from the corner. Tony Good makes it 78-45, and Cardoso, St. Raymond's, a couple of the other teams that'll be playing in that one. And Ed, it should be a great day of basketball at Iona College. Next Saturday, 7 games. Cardoso and St. Raymond's, another big matchup. We mentioned about Iona also showcasing this great St. Mary's team against Denham Springs of Louisiana. And then probably the highlight game, Gulf Shores of Texas going against Mount Zion of North Carolina.
That's a basketball fan going to heaven. I mean, that's really hoops du jour. That is a special day because you never get 7 games of that magnitude. You might get 3 or 4. You really got to pay attention. Get a good night's sleep the night before, and you'll get a chance to see, as you mentioned earlier, 30-some-odd Division I basketball players. You'll also get a chance, obviously, to see future NBA stars.
For $10, can you beat that?
I don't think so. One possible correction, am I correct? Bob McKillop, when he was in Long Island, was he the Lutheran coach?
Bobby McKillop was a Lutheran.
And as I remember...
But I think he's a product of Holy Trinity.
He might be, but his fame was, of course, as a Lutheran, and since 1519 there was a little split, I think.
The Protestant Reformation, Art, our historian, studied history, law at Cornell, everything else right there, but keeps us honest here. 1:46 to go here in the fourth quarter. And more substitutions coming in for Brentwood as Anthony Jimenez will clear the bench here. Danny Simpson coming back in, and sitting down right now, Xavier Brown, as at the free throw line will be Mike Statung, a 6-foot senior guard.
In case you tuned in late, St. Mary's leaps out to a 20-7 lead, but Brentwood rallied. They cut it down to 24-17. The second quarter got within 7, but then St. Mary's took off, outscored them 14-2, really took control of the game.
Again, a reminder, this St. Mary's team will play here at Hofstra February 18th against St. Raymond's. So just keep that in mind for you great basketball fans here on Long Island. Motlou. Back out now to Machado, number 1. Scott Machado, 1:25 to go. And while we're talking about teams doing well, off the miss from the Gales, they've got everybody in the lineup here. Hofstra's had a very good season. They've lost a couple of games recently. And one of the outstanding Hofstra players has been Mr. Guddio, who we saw play at Walt Whitman a couple of years ago.
Yeah, very special player. Handles the ball well, can score. And he's given really with the backcourt of Hofstra, the strength is their backcourt. They're very strong in the backcourt. They lost a couple of games on the road. And we'll see how they do in the CAA. They got to win at home because it's tough to win the road. They never won at UNC Wilmington, and they lost the game earlier this week there.
Close game there. Machado from the corner hits, and they've broken the 80 barrier, 81-48, about what they averaged this year. It'll be about a 30-point victory, which is what they've beaten a lot of the teams. They crushed a very good Chaminade team, Eddie, earlier this week, winning by about 32 points at Chaminade. Talk about tough places to play. That Chaminade gym is awfully tough. Clock running down. We're down to the final 5 seconds to go. Machado will hold it out, and St. Mary's, with 1 second to go, turns it over. So the Gales will go to 11-0, get ready for Patterson Catholic, and then Denham Springs of Texas. And Tim Cluse will win his 251st game, and against 79 losses, and this one is over.
You know, some nights you go to an arena to see a special team and you get disappointed. Tonight you certainly weren't disappointed. In fact, I have more respect now for St. Mary's than I did coming. I knew they were very good. I knew that one poll had them number 1 in the country. Another poll ranked them number 2 in the country. Boy, they played like a number 1 team in the country. We may never know because there's no mythical championship, but Tim Cluse has put together a tremendous team. But I like what he's done. He understands he had a special team. So he built a schedule to match a special team. It's a brutal schedule, but it's one if his team negotiates and navigates its way through it, will have a tremendous result on the other end. How rewarding would that be?
Absolutely, Ed. We'll be back to wrap it up in a moment. Danny Lippenholtz with our post-game show coming up next.
And 81-48 over Brentwood. I'm with our players of the game, Danny Green on my left and Tyson Johnson on my right. And Tyson, let's first start with you. It seems that at any moment, anyone on this team could be a threat to score.
That's right. We have a lot of scores on our team, and every day in practice we work hard to get better on offensive game and defensive game. So at any moment, someone can get off.
You mentioned the defense. St. Mary's is known for a terrific offense, but you also play great defense.
Yeah, coach has really been working us on defense the last couple of weeks. We know we got to get down to that stretch, and we got to shut teams down. Trying to hold teams under 50 points, that's our goal this year.
All right, Danny, over to you now. Your coach says that you're the best all-around player he's had. What goes through your mind as I say that to you?
That's one of the biggest compliments I think I've ever heard. He doesn't really tell us a lot of compliments because in practice he doesn't give us any positive. He likes to give us a negative so we get better. But I think that's a great thing. I didn't know that. I didn't know he thought that about me.
You have a tough schedule coming up. How badly does the state championship fit into your plans?
Everybody on our team is hungry. Everybody wants to win the championship. And I think we're working hard every day. We keep working harder. I think that it's not going to be hard to get a state championship.
All right, we'll have to check our statisticians on that one, but congratulations, both of you guys, our players of the game. When we come back, we'll speak with Coach Tim Kloos after these messages. Here with Gales coach Tim Kloos. And Coach, talk to me a little bit about the conditioning of this team, because it seemed to me for 32 straight minutes this team was running.
I think we get stronger as the game goes on. I think that's like one of the things that we do better than most teams. I think we can wear them down with our defense, with our depth, with our speed, and that's what we kind of work on daily.
As you move to a really tough part of the schedule, where do you feel the team needs improvement?
Consistency. I think we have lapses in games for a couple of minutes at a stretch, and in order to compete at the level we want to compete at, we have to get that out of our game.
And anything else that you would like to add?
I think that's enough. I want to just tell my sons, Kevin and TJ, my wife, Karen, love you guys, and I'll see you soon.
All right, Coach, congratulations on the win. Good luck the rest of the season. We come back. Barry Ed and Art will wrap things up here from Hofstra University. You're watching the Life of Game of the...
As you said, Ed, they came to watch this great St. Mary's team. Over 2,000 fans on hand, and they saw St. Mary's do what they've done to so many teams this year. Tease them a little bit, let the team get back close, down to 7 points, and then just explode with so much talent. And not just with the Wahoo kind of talent, but in terms of just great team basketball, tremendous skill.
That's the whole thing. You see a lot of teams that have 1 or 2, maybe even 3-star players, but they don't play well together a lot of times because it's individual efforts. What Tim Kloos has been able to do is take really 3 outstanding players, bring in some players who are more role players, but important role players, and turn this team into really the epitome of a team basketball team that passes the ball brilliantly, knows where to go on the floor, and plays a special kind of defense. They have it all.
Balanced scoring tonight. Here's Danny Green, your star player, 11 points. But it didn't matter. You score 81, and he had 7 rebounds, blocks, and steals. Johnson had 18 points. Rashad Green, his younger brother, had 16. Going to be a little fun in the car going home tonight between those two, as the younger brother outscored the older brother, and Hanson had a total of 16 points. So, as we said, a very impressive night for Tim Kloos. Now they get ready for some giants, Patterson Catholic and Denham Springs of Louisiana.
Yeah, but still, what I am looking forward to more than anything else will be those end-of-the-season playoffs for the New York State Catholic Championship, and then, of course, for the State Federation Championship. And this will be, there are very, very few Long Island teams that have won a State Federation Championship. And this is probably a great opportunity for St. Mary's. I don't think any Long Island team has ever won the top classification in the Federation. Hempstead never did, I know that.